frequency for the takeoff. Plane of each squadron, upon becoming airborne, proceeds for about 90 seconds. It banks sharply to indicate its turning point, then goes into a slow left turn. Each successive plane in the element turns as soon as the pilot sees the plane in front of him turn. The element of 3 planes levels off at 1,000 feet and returns parallel to the takeoff runway at a distance of about 2 miles. Here the elements start to assemble into squadrons of 6. Continuing to circle the field, the squadrons then go to 2,000 feet, where the group assembly takes place. This accomplished, the group now moves on to the combat wing assembly point. Here is how the group stacks up from the side. The group has a depth of 850 feet. This is how the group looks from above. In the lead squadron, the second element is flown with the nose of the leader slightly behind and to the right of the right wing aircraft, first element. The lead plane of the high squadron flies even with the lead plane, second element, lead squadron. The second element of the high squadron flies with the leader's nose just behind and to the left of the left wing aircraft, first element. Here is the group as an enemy fighter pilot sees it, from head on. The first element of the lead squadron is stacked high left and low right. The first element of the low squadron is stacked high right and low left. Likewise, the first element of the high squadron is stacked high right and low left. All second elements are flown low. The second element of the lead squadron is stacked high left and low right. The second elements of the high and low squadrons are stacked high right and low left. Experience has shown that this arrangement of the group brings to bear on attacking fighters the greatest possible amount of firepower by utilizing to fullest advantage the field of fire of each gun in the formation. Again, it is proved to be the most maneuverable formation from which to execute the primary and all-important purpose of the mission, the dropping of the bomb loads on a precise target. Obviously, it would be desirable to stack as many bombing planes as possible in one defensive formation. However, it has been found that the largest practical defensive formation is the combat wing of 3 groups. Any formation of aircraft larger than this becomes unwieldy. This force has a depth of 3,000 feet. The nose of the lead aircraft of the low group is aligned with the tail and slightly to the left of the rearmost aircraft of the lead element, lead squadron, lead group. The nose of the lead aircraft of the high group is aligned with the tail of the rearmost aircraft of the lead element, lead squadron, lead group. The combat wing having been assembled, they now move on to make rendezvous with the rest of the task force. In this case, another combat wing. This plane from the force which is to attack Anklam is now approaching the Danish coast, and the formation is subject to enemy attack at any moment. It is now 10:30 hours, and Denmark has been penetrated to some distance without any great opposition as yet. So far, there has been only some light and inaccurate flak at the coastline.
Some flank guns have opened up on us.
10:30 on, the Anklam formation has to contend with constant German fighter attack from all levels and all clock positions. During this time, the gunners aboard the fortresses knock down fighter after fighter. However, the gunnery of the forts, no matter how sensational it may be, is only to ensure the successful performance of the mission. It is not the job or purpose of forts or liberators to seek out action with enemy fighters. They merely defend themselves against enemy fighter attack so that they can hit and bring their crews back safely to their home bases. An anxious moment comes now for the lead navigator and bombardier. The formation is approaching the initial point. That is the point where the wing will turn off and make its bombing run on the target. Upon proper navigation to this point may rest the success of the entire mission.
Pilot to left, waist gunner. We're over the IP. Release flares. Waist gunner to pilot. Roger.
Once the combat wing has reached the IP, it breaks up into 3 component groups, for the wing formation is too unwieldy for a unit bombing operation. As the IP is reached and the lead airplane of the lead group is about to make the turn, it fires 2 red flares, spaced 5 seconds apart. Then the group makes its turn onto the run-up. The low group goes on straight ahead for 20 seconds, then makes its turn. The high group proceeds for 20 seconds beyond the low group's turn, then it turns on to the run-up. The most critical defensive period in the mission, the wing to accomplish most efficiently its primary purpose, the bombing of the target, has sacrificed its mutual defensive firepower, and the groups are thrown on their own. Now the crucial moment is almost here. The moment around which the entire mission revolves.
Pilot to bombardier. Your ship. Bombardier to pilot. Roger. Bombardier to crew. Bombardier doors open. Pilot to radio operator. Camera on.
The bomb bay doors open. The group is committed to its attack. No evasive action may be taken until the bombs are away. And at this time, the formation is most vulnerable to attack, both from flak and enemy fighters. At Marienburg, an hour later, the second task force comes over the target.
Bombs away.
The 3rd Task Force comes over its target at Danzig.
Bombs away!
The 4th and 5th Task Forces arrive over the harbor area of Gdynia.
Bombs away! Bombs away on primary at 1142 hours. Yes.
Sir, in addition to Anklam, which was attacked at 11:51, Marienburg was attacked at 13:05.
It is standard procedure for the group leader to inform Bomber Command the moment the target has been attacked. Bomber Command, in turn, promptly informs the commanding general of the 8th Air Force.
Laker, I have the additional information. I reported to you that Anklam was attacked. All primaries were attacked. We received strike messages on all primaries. Danzig at 13:07, Marienburg at 13:05, and Gdynia at 13:11. Yes. Yes, sir. I'll advise you as soon as they land.
After getting bombs away and closing the bomb bay doors, the groups can now defend themselves again, at least to the extent of evasive action against the flak and fighter attack. The lead group flies a straight course for 15 seconds before turning off to the rally point. The lead group then proceeds to the rally point at an indicated airspeed of 155 miles per hour, making S-turns meanwhile to permit the trailing groups to catch up. The lead group crosses the rally point at a height 1,000 feet lower than bombing altitude. The succeeding groups will close with the lead group as quickly as possible to regain the defensive combat wing formation. The following groups need not necessarily pass exactly over the rally point in regaining wing formation. In the meanwhile, the Marauders take off to fulfill their part in the day's operation. They bomb the aerodrome at Woensdrecht, one of the most important of the enemy's fighter bases. This blow by the medium bombers is timed so as to provide the maximum interference with the enemy's capacity to intercept our withdrawing heavy bombers. Last off are the fighters. Their great speed will enable them to reach the Leeuwarden district in a short time, sweep the area clear of enemy fighters, then give the heavy bombers withdrawal support from the enemy coast home. At the fields, it's getting on towards the most nervous of all times, the estimated time of return. Everyone who stays behind sweats out this period at the end of each mission. Here at the control tower, at the dispersal areas, at the Red Cross, at the Officers Club, everywhere on the field, the one thing paramount in everyone's mind is that the group is due back. Went out to attack the target. How many have returned? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 15, 16. 17, 18. 18 dispatched, 18 returned. 23 dispatched, 23 returned. However, there are other groups which weren't so fortunate. 18 dispatched, 17 returned. 20 dispatched, 19 returned. 20 dispatched, 14 returned. 19 dispatched, 18 returned. 20 dispatched, 10 returned. 18 dispatched, 8 returned. Flares dropped from aircraft signal the presence of wounded aboard. These airplanes are given priority in landing. The airmen are home, but their job isn't over yet. Before they can go to their billets for a well-earned rest, they must first undergo one of the most important phases of any mission, interrogation. It is highly important to question the crews at the first possible moment after the mission, while their impressions and memories are still fresh. Crews who have anything of immediate importance to report go at once to the hot newsroom.
Hello, boys. How are you? kind of long, not too rough.
Best bombing job we've ever done. Good, good. Somebody in trouble?
Yeah, we saw one B-17 go down there just before we made landfall.
Where was that?
Well, that was at 5240 north.
5240, yes.
1 degree, 50 minutes east.
0150 east. Yes, and what time was it?
That was at 1524.
And was that a G-fix?
That was a G-fix, yes. And we had the radio operator get on the MFDF section. He sent in the coordinates of the fix.
Good.
And I had my radio operator turn on his IFF to emergency when we saw it go down.
Okay. And what happened?
Well, the ship went down, apparently under control, and saw it hit the water.
Yes, I was looking through the glasses, and I saw 2 dinghies come out, and 10 men, apparently all okay. Good. And what altitude were you?
We were at 5,000 feet at the time.
Okay, anything else? No. Settle up for a cup of coffee. It's waiting for you, boy.
Okay.
Thank you. Third Division, please.
Smitty, I got a B-17 crew down the dinghy.
Thanks, Bill. 16 group, please. Special aircraft priority. Fine control, please. 16, bomb division here. We have a B-17 reported fixed at 52 degrees, 30 minutes north, 1 degree, 30 minutes east. That's right. He was seen to ditch, yes. He was seen to ditch at 15:24 hours by the reporting aircraft. 2 dinghies were seen to break out, and 10 men got into them. The reporting aircraft was at 5,000 feet. Yes, that position's an MF fix. Okay, 16. Thank you.
In one way or another, scores of our crews are saved by air-sea rescue from the English Channel and the North Sea and returned to combat service. Aside from human values, a trained fortress crew is even more valuable than the plane they man, and the work of the air-sea rescue unit has been of enormous value to the 8th Air Force. The hungry crews are fed enough to hold them until they can be interrogated and get to their regular chow. These men are from the groups that went to Anklam.
What time did you go over the target?
At 11:43 hours. We went in at 12,000 feet.
Did you get your bombs on the target?
Yeah.
What about enemy fighter opposition?
Well, that's something we should have discussed.
Really? Well, let's get some of the details. Where did it begin, Paul?
Well, they first jumped us at 10:30 there just off the Danish coast.
And how long did the attack continue?
They stayed with us to the target and until 13:27. Then at 13:45 we had another group attack and stayed until 14:05. We had a couple more attacks, and the last one was at 15:26 just off the Danish coast coming out.
And about how many enemy fighters did you see?
Well, I don't know how many of them might have been repeated, but I saw 60 or 70 myself.
I couldn't keep track of them, sir, but I counted about 60 past.
I stopped trying to count when I got to 50, sir.
Well, do you think it'd be accurate to say then that your ship saw between 65 and 80 enemy aircraft?
Yeah.
What type of enemy aircraft did you encounter?
Well, from what I could see from the tail, they threw the book at us. FW-190s, ME-109s, 110s, 210s, Dorniers, even Ju-87s and 88s.
I saw a couple of Focke-Wulf 189s, at least 2 Heinkel 111s.
What positions did they attack from?
Oh, they came from all over the place.
Fighters are pressing home their attacks from 300 to 400 yards.
Would you characterize these attacks as determined?
Determined?
Brother, you can say that again.
No, I think those guys are really trying to shoot us down.
I wouldn't be surprised.
How would you describe the enemy fighter tactics?
Well, I describe them as murder.
Yes, they usually attacked in formation, queue up about 300 or 400 yards away, 12 or 13 single-engine fighters come barreling right through the formation.
How'd the twin-engine fighters react?
They stayed out to the side and above, just out of the range of our guns, and shot cannons and rockets at us. Then they'd queue up and press home a regular fighter attack.
What caliber would you say the cannons were?
My guess would be 37 millimeters. What do you think, Adam?
What about the rockets?
They shot a lot of them.
I didn't actually see any hit our formation, but they weren't doing us any good.
I saw one of them blow a wing off the 17 below and ahead of us. They started to spin in.
Any shoots?
No, sir, I didn't see any.
Where was this?
Over the target, right after we toggled the bomb.
Did you fellows notice any distinctive markings on the enemy aircraft?
Yeah.
Oh, quite a few.
There are a number of FW-190s, mostly yellow noses, some white noses.
No red noses.
No, I didn't see any.
Boy, those yellow nose boys really come in close, don't they? Did you see that one come right on our left wing?
Yeah, I saw 109 with black and white diagonal markings under the wings.
Black and white,
I had white nose.
All right. Yeah.
Getting back to those rockets, I believe that Jerry can reload his rocket guns from inside the ship.
I think you can.
That'd be my guess, too.
I saw at least 9 bursts from rocket guns on one ME-210.
9 bursts. All right.
Talking about 210s, there was one that came in and shot a cluster. It looked like clay pigeons to me.
Say, those things look like baseballs to me.
Can you describe that more fully? How did they react?
Well, they didn't look like baseballs. It was more like streamlined and smoked all the way down, but they didn't explode.
Didn't explode, huh?
No.
What about planes?
I knocked down 2. They were making attacks about 5 o'clock level.
Yeah, I saw them. One of them blew up in the air, and the other one went down in flames. The pilot of the second one bailed out. That was at 11:44. We were right over the IP.
Were any other guns firing at these planes?
No, sir. These were my babies.
Any more?
Yes, sir. I got one destroyed and one probable. I knocked a 210 down right over the target. The plane exploded in the air. I got a burst at a 110, and it started down in flames. I couldn't see whether it went all the way down or not. We are under constant attack.
Bombing results and enemy fighter reaction are only one phase of the interrogation. The enemy's anti-aircraft defenses, their concentration and their accuracy are also matters of great interest to the interrogators. The group of the 2nd Division, which went to Danzig.
How would you describe the flak en route to the target?
From the coast to the target, it was meager and inaccurate as to height and deflection. Over the target, it was still meager, but pretty accurate as to height and deflection.
Is that how the rest of you fellows would describe it? What about on the way back?
Well, it was meager and inaccurate, except now when we crossed the coast. They threw a box barrage that was pretty accurate as to height. In fact, it was good as to altitude, but the deflection was a little off. The first burst hit about 100 yards ahead of the lead plane, and we felt the concussion of it, right?
We got a couple of flak holes in the fuselage right around my gun position.
Any other battle damage?
A couple of flak holes in the nose.
Burst of 303 in the number 4 engine. Got an oil line.
What was your altitude when this box barrage almost caught you?
21,500 feet.
Did any of you notice anything unusual or peculiar about the flak bursts?
No, it looked like the same old black flak to me.
Wasn't 6-3 half-seater.
Also valuable to the interrogator is any intelligence that might be picked up by the crews en route to or from the target. Such observations may be completely incidental to the mission, but can prove to be of great value at another time when another target is being attacked. Let's find out what the force attacking Marienburg discovered on their way to and from the target.
This smoke screen at Danzig, where did that emanate from?
Well, it looked like to me it was coming from off of floats and boats here with smudge spots on them, anchored just a little ways off the coast.
Yeah, Ernie, they were shooting it up from the ground, too, and it get up so high and
burst
and mushroom out.
Would you say it was effective?
Well, we didn't pass right over the city itself, so we couldn't say definitely, but it looked like to me it'd be pretty doggone effective.
Was it all great?
You see anything else? Yeah, there's a new airport about 2 miles below Danzig there, south of Danzig.
What did it look like?
Pretty large airport with grass runways and a lot of construction at the south end.
I seen another one there at Puck. It seemed like to be building runways and some buildings, new buildings like they might not be hangars.
Okay. Now, how about military installations? Did you see any of those?
Well, south of Stadtdorf in East Prussia, we saw some installations that might have been fortifications.
They were large rectangular buildings with red tops.
Yeah, there were 2 rows of 4.
4 buildings each?
Yes.
Good deal. Now, did you see anything else?
As soon as interrogation of the men is finished, the interrogation forms are checked and general statistics on the group's part in the attack are compiled.
All right, let's get going on this report.
Okay. The number of aircraft dispatched.
20.
The number of aircraft attacking the primary target.
20. Hello, I want the A2 duty desk. Hello, this is Norgren 492. Got flash teletype report for you. You ready?
The organizational flow which we have observed throughout this picture has now begun to operate in reverse. Information obtained from the crews is evaluated in divisional critiques, conferences in which all responsible group and divisional officers carefully inspect the detailed record of the mission, discuss any failures that may have occurred, and plan to prevent their recurrence. After a particularly large or important operation, there will be a command critique, with the 8th Air Force Commanding General presiding. Here in the dark room, the strike photos of the targets brought back by the returning planes of the group are developed and printed with all possible speed, so that experts of Bomber Command can assess the damage done. Coming in from planes of every group participating in the various raids and interpreted and appraised by trained photo interpreters, these pictures will give Bomber Command an excellent idea as to exactly what parts of the various targets were hit and how severely. Here, as seen in these pictures taken the following day by photo reconnaissance planes, severe damage has been inflicted on all the major and most of the minor buildings of the Arado factory at Anklam. This is a strike photo showing how Danzig looked during the attack. Very extensive damage has been suffered in the harbor area. Here is an annotated PRU picture of Gdynia as it appeared after the attack. A near miss is seen on the liner Deutschland type. The transatlantic liner Stuttgart does not appear in this picture, although she was seen afire and in the hands of tugboats immediately after the attack, as these strike photos reveal. Aside from the Stuttgart, several ships in the South Basin have been sunk or damaged, including the liner Oceania. Shore installations are also heavily hit. At Marienburg, the PRU photo discloses that the damage was exceptionally severe, almost every building having been destroyed or seriously affected. General Arnold has characterized this attack as the greatest example of precision bombing on record. Other targets will be as thoroughly destroyed. Today, while the invasion armies are pressing the Battle of Europe, the Battle of Germany continues. Day by day, whenever weather permits, heavy bombers roar out over the heads of the advancing ground forces, blasting away systematically at vital industrial installations hundreds of miles to the rear of the enemy lines. Now, in contrast to earlier days of strategic bombing, when forts and liberators fought their way alone, fleets of long-range fighters, Mustangs, Thunderbolts, Lightnings, convoy the big bombers all the way to their targets, targets which may be anywhere in German-occupied Europe. The flood of supplies, so necessary to the survival of an army or a nation, synthetic rubber, steel, food, fuel, textiles, this flood is gradually being reduced to a trickle. And finally, even this thin, inadequate stream will die away. Then the German armies in the field and the German workers on the home front will have no food for their stomachs, no clothing for their bodies, no metals for their machines, and no fuel with which to run them. Then the Battle of Germany will be won, and with it, the Battle of Europe.